Originally I wanted to go to art school, like that was like kind of, I went through like the usual like childhood variety things, like from I'm going to be a vet, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to want to fly planes, like, do you know, the whole spectrum of stuff. I think a PhD by nature is not structured, like it's so open and like finding out your thing to work on at the start, it's huge and intimidating, but I think just working through it every day, managing my time like that, treating it like a job was really helpful. But then I realised to progress, I was going to have to publish lots of papers, and that just did not inspire me. Part of what's important in life, or like part of the reason for life, or like is like learning how to get on with different types of people. It feels like if you can figure out how to get on with absolutely anybody, that would be such a cool place to be.
Welcome to the podcast, Abby.
Hi Joss, thanks for having me.
This is awesome to have you on the podcast. It's nice to have someone that maybe isn't just doing an engineering role, who is running their own business and is challenging certain areas of industry on the podcast. You've been someone that has opened my network up a bit through meeting, and I'm really excited to share your story, to learn more about what keeps you passionate about engineering, and to find out more about what you're doing at the moment with Defango and your career.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having a chat about therapy.
I don't think anyone's associated me giving therapy to anyone, probably the other way around. Let's start off then. So what sparked your interest in engineering?
Gosh, I think I kind of fell into it sort of accidentally. So afterwards, I didn't really know. My dad was a teacher. I thought maybe I'll be an art teacher. Do you know, like that was kind of it. It wasn't even like I fully owned that, or that was like 100% what was going to be my thing. But that felt like that was where stuff was heading. I was never really, like, as a kid, never really thought of myself as being particularly academic. And then as I went into high school, struggled with quite a lot of stuff, like relationships with other kids got weird, and I think just the way that it sometimes can, and it wasn't particularly well managed. So I kind of like just fell into the background maybe slightly, or like went off the rails would be a more accurate description. I was a bit badly behaved, a bit naughty, and like probably extra naughty because I got in with the wrong crew. So like in order to try and fit in, my behaviour was even worse. Like, which I guess that happened. So yeah, I left high school. I hadn't done particularly well. I'd managed to get a B for English, and I got a C for chemistry, which I don't even think I'd got a C in the final exam. I think my teacher, Mr. Melrose, had like put in an appeal without me even knowing, and I got like a C through my prelim result or something. So I left like a B for English and a C for chemistry. And I wanted to go to art school. So I applied for art school 2 years in a row. I ended up going to Cumbernauld College, I should say, to do higher art and a portfolio course. I got an A for higher art, and I didn't get into art school. So I tried 2 years in a row, and that didn't work out for me. So I was kind of like, what am I going to do in my life? I felt frustrated about not getting into art school. I don't think I ever really was anywhere near good enough to get in, but I wanted to do something that I could objectively say, like there wasn't going to be any like subjectivity to whether I was good enough or not. I was just going to get the grades and move forward. So I think that appealed to me about something that was more technical or kind of engineering oriented. So I went to BAE College in Hamilton. I think it was one of their open days, and I wanted to find out, but could I turn up to college and do more hires? Like, apart from art, could I do something more technical, like maybe physics, maybe get a better grade for chemistry, do some maths? And through chatting to them, I realised that actually these not so great grades were enough to get into their degree course. So I was like, I was absolutely buzzing that I was going to get to do a degree. Just like, it was just like I felt validated. I was just like, I'm doing a degree. It was huge. So started out doing product design engineering, which just felt like quite a natural choice because there was this like artistic, creative part to it, and there was also this like more objective. I was going to learn some stuff that people couldn't like say. You've not met the grades. If I could do the maths, it was going to work. I didn't feel particularly confident about that stuff, but I was going to try hard, and it was going to work out for me. So I started doing that, and then quite quickly realised actually I could do maths. Like I can do this, and I'm actually quite good at it. And that was a buzz. Like I think I'd always like really felt I was a bit stupid, if I'm honest. And then that buzz from being able to do maths was huge. So really, really amazing teachers at Bell College. I cannot remember their names, but there was 2 of them, and they were fantastic maths teachers. So yeah, like I think my mum thought I would last about 2 weeks there, but I did the whole thing, got my degree, and I picked up that motorsport kind of like aspect to that after a year, just because it felt exciting and interesting, and why not do this extra bit on the side. And then, so after my 3 years, I managed to get into Strathclyde, and that was like massive buzz. That was like, I am at university. Wow, this is phenomenal. Like, they've let me in. Like, they might not know what they've got, but they've let me in. Like, I'm here. This is huge. And so I went from this little class of like 13 people rocking up in the same room every day at college, and maybe, like, if I'm honest, like smoking weed at lunchtime and like being pretty like relaxed and chilling, not taking it too seriously, to this like 3rd year class at Strathclyde with all these middle class, like highly polished kids who's got like 5 A's at high school, and were like totally committed and focused, and like took everything very seriously, and moving around the campus every day, and they'd already formed their little friendship groups and stuff. So I found 3rd year at uni, like going into that, well, my first year, the 3rd year in the programme, very difficult. Like, it was such a tough year for me. I did it, like I got through it. I didn't feel like I fitted in at all. I mean, I did not fit in at all, but like I just got through it. And then did 3rd year, 4th year, and then stayed for 5th year. I would say my confidence was like shockingly low compared with other people in that year group. So when it came to like doing my dissertation presentation, it was being assessed, and I got 2 out of 10 for my like presentation, because it was I couldn't even get the words out when I stood up. So I'd like done prep, I had the slides, but I couldn't actually speak. It was like so bad that people were like, people were talking about it afterwards, like how terrible it was. And the head of department at the time was like, "You come and see me in my office afterwards." And I was like, "Oh crap! Like this, I'm gonna get it." That was like so bad. That was shameful. It was shameful. And he's like, "What's up with your confidence? Like, why do you lack confidence? Like, you're super smart, but like, what's going on?" So I don't know. Like, like imposter phenomena or whatever. Like, it just wasn't. There was stuff going on. So anyway, he was like, "Do you know what would be good for your confidence is to do a PhD?" And I was like, I don't know about a PhD. I need to like earn some money. I need a job. Like, I was like, "Why don't you do this engineering doctorate? It's kind of like a PhD, but you're in industry. You'd be like in a company. You'd live in Leeds. You'd be in the company every day. You'd get a PhD, and you'd get paid." So I was like, "Yes, okay, I'm going to go away and look at that and have a think about it." So that's what I did. And it was really good for my confidence. Again, it was incredibly difficult. I was way out of my depth. Like, you're like kind of expected to like be, I guess like you're going into a company to do a PhD, they're expecting you to give them insight and kind of lead the direction around. What I was looking at was new product development, planning new product development processes, and how to plan for them. And I had a lot to learn, not just about the technical stuff, but about how to interact with people, how to talk to people, influence them, how to negotiate, how to be professional, like all that softer stuff that maybe like really polished middle class kids just absorb from their parents. It's never really formally taught anywhere in life, but there was all these like kind of softer skills that I had to learn really quickly, that I definitely was hyper aware I was lacking.
And do you think that you were, I mean, there's a lot to dive in there, so thanks for being so open, first and foremost. Was it when you were taking on when you were leaving university that you began to notice the softer skills? The reason I'm asking this is it's a very common theme that I get that comes up with employers, with perception around students, not the top ones, not just students, soft skills, interpersonal skills. Yeah. So did you begin to realise, or did you, I'm not saying you didn't have them, because I probably believe you did, it's just maybe you didn't have the confidence to pull it out. But what was the realisation?
So I think it's something that I've realised very gradually. Like, I think at university I was just so insecure and inward and overwhelmed by stuff that I didn't I just knew I wasn't as well equipped as other people. I guess didn't really have the ability to reflect on that or figure out what was going on, or couldn't even have like identified it as being softer skills. I just knew there was something that was lacking about me relative to other people. And then I think going into, I was kind of confronted with having to deal with that very quickly. And then I think I was quite fortunate in some ways. So the director of product development in the company in Leeds at the time was very direct, and I think that was quite healthy for me. I mean, it was difficult, but it was healthy. So like if I'd send him an email, he'd just be like, I'm not even reading that, Abby. You need to like learn how to write emails. So then I'd go away and figure out how to write and like what my approach to stuff, being a super geek, like even though I didn't realise that, is to like read books or like research how to do stuff. So I'd go and read about how to write a proper email, figure out how to write a proper email, and then start writing really good emails. So like, yeah, so that was my approach to like, and then like even stuff like struggling to go on with people, like having good relationships with people, like I guess I'm like quite, I need things to, like I've let go of this over the years, but at that point I was very like, it needs to be right, and if it's not right, then there's no black and white, or like it's just not right, so we're going to talk about that. Like, and I guess like being Glaswegian, it's quite direct, and Leeds people also relatively direct, but they're kind of like less abrasive. They're like much softer. So yeah, learning how to like get along with and get the most out of relationships with people that were very different to me. And then also, I worked for Samaritans when I was in Leeds as well, which a whole set of skills around empathy, which I think, and like listening to people really, really well, like really being able to kind of figure out where somebody's coming from. And I think like in the field of design or like engineering or management or leadership, that is a phenomenal skill that's kind of unlocked a whole other set of skills. So I would say that the empathy stuff, and that was because I was told I wasn't good at listening to people or couldn't empathise. That's not necessarily why I joined Samaritans. I joined Samaritans because I'd like experiences of people that took their own lives that were, so that I wish I'd been able to talk to. So, so just through really direct feedback, I became aware of those shortcomings. And then even now, like there's stuff like that I know I have not really cracked, like in my kind of set of soft skills, stuff that I need to work on and develop. That I'm still like it's still something that's like continuing.
This is really powerful. I mean, we're only 10 minutes in. I feel like I talk a lot about reflection, and I think sometimes people think about reflection is you need to sit down and think back years. But it can be days, it can be weeks, and it can just be a daily task to identify where you are as a person, and because it helps you build and improve yourself. Sometimes people think improvement's a critical element. The way I'm listening to you, I hope you're, knowing what you want to improve on. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not something that we should almost look at and go, I'm terrible at that. It's an area of improvement and possibility.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I used to be terrible at listening. That's why I started a podcast. This is the quietest you'll get me. It's only been 30 hours, mind you, of my life that I've listened to it. But this is really, really important. I think I want to explore a bit more because, again, I want to just see this through the eyes of a student who most students don't realise this, like you said yourself, and I didn't either until I was leaving university, around the soft skills. What do you think could have changed when you were going through, didn't really, maybe not the college element, but you joined university third year, granted you went there first and second year, but what could have changed to help you realise this maybe earlier? Not for you personally, but things around
things
you.
Generally,
support, targeted support, someone identifying it for you.
Yeah, so I think having some sort of like coach or like a mentor to like walk me through some of that would have been massively helpful. And I think have it like once I was later on in my career still working at university, I think that did happen for students that were direct entry. There was a programme Stuart McKinley ran, and I'm sure he set people up with with mentors or somebody to support them a little bit going through all of that. So I think having somebody to talk to that wasn't intimidating, that I could be open with and could help me reflect would have been really helpful.
So, talk me through your PhD. How did that go? How was it moving to Leeds as I'm guessing still quite a young person at the time, moving away from home and then starting to immerse yourself in, and was it a bit like a knowledge transfer partnership?
It was kind of like a KTP, but it's called an NHD, so it was like this weird setup where I was supervised by people at Strathclyde. It was awarded by Strathclyde. I lived in Leeds, went into this office every day, kind of like you would do with a KTP, I guess, and then. But the research, I guess, like was supervised, like a PhD research would be supervised, and that a KTP would kind of like have a really prescribed plan of what was going to happen, whereas with the research it was super open. I had to figure out what the research question was. It was like there was no plan for me. You've got 4 years to help to contribute something new to the field of new product development planning. Go and figure out what that's going to look like. And then there was modules as well, so I did a master's in systems engineering at the same time. It was kind of it's not a separate qualification, it's like integrated into that engineering doctorate that was at Loughborough. So I had this like cohort of like other remote students from across the UK, from I think there was like 6 universities involved in it, that would get together every year at Loughborough like several times a year and do these like block taught modules. So I had like people that we were not like co-located, apart from these occasional weeks that were going through the similar stuff in a whole range of other companies. It was good. I think like a classic PhD is like very hard at the beginning. It's like you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. Things that worked really well for me were, I think, not being in university. So like this routine of like turning up for work, 8:30, leaving around 5 and doing that every single day. And I think the kind of university PhD culture can often be a bit more relaxed. People come and go, they maybe don't work every day, they disappear for a while, but there was like routine and structure around how I was approaching my PhD. Occasionally I would work through the weekends, and very occasionally I would work like into the evening, but I was just working on my PhD, and it was structured and it was disciplined, and I finished on time. And I think if I'd been in university that might not have happened.
So like an engineer's dream, to know if structured. Cause when things aren't structured, I begin to go away almost.
Yeah, I think a PhD by nature is not structured. Like it's so open, and like it's like finding out your thing to work on at the start. It's huge and intimidating, but I think just working through it every day, managing my time like that, treating it like a job, was really helpful. Yeah, I don't know if that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what kind of skills do you think? I think it's important because there's a lot of engineering students get to the engineering university and a PhD becomes a feasible opportunity for them. Sat down myself with Professor David Nash and and I decided not to do it. But who knows if I've been successful with my application, and I still has a wee bit of a regret maybe not doing it. But what skills did you develop during your PhD? And what did you learn about yourself? Because as someone that has reflected way back, you must have learnt a lot in that time.
Yeah, I definitely did. So I learned technical skills. So like I learned how to do research well. So which I think I use those kind of skills through every aspect of my life, like how to weigh up different points of view and compare different arguments. What good quality science looks like what a good quality point of view looks like, how to provide evidence for an argument, how to critique your own thinking, and almost like as a really healthy pursuit to like think, why might I be wrong? So I think that's like built into my thinking, like why might I be wrong about this, rather than like confirmation bias. So I think I've become really good at that kind of way of thinking about stuff. Being able to manage my own time, being really routine, like discipline in my routine. When there was no there was no real supervision around me, but working towards this very like kind of long-term abstract goal of like graduation 4 years away with no massive program structure and stuff. So like routine, discipline, work ethic. Like I think I've always had, I don't know where it comes from, but like a super really driven work ethic. Like yeah, I've worked like crazy jobs since I was like 14, like paper rounds. Used to do Avon, like I did dishes, like I worked as a chef all the way through universities in various restaurants, which is hard work. But like I'm all right with hard work. Yeah.
Something is like just screaming out here, and which I love this, is you in one hand have said that just school, something happened in school,
Yeah.
didn't work, but you've got a good work ethic, which you've spoken about. I mean, I can see, and I know you. We've obviously got to know each other the last few months. There's something not right when you think about the way that, and I going on about this a lot in terms of systems. There's young people right now in schools that are going to be measured on their results in school,
Yeah.
and their opportunities are going to be measured on it,
Yeah.
or the doors that open will be related to it.
Yeah.
How many are we losing?
Yeah.
How many Abbeys are we losing?
Yeah.
Because the work ethic clearly was there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say to you, I mean, I'm just about to go through your career. And for someone that didn't like maybe university in third year, you enjoyed being at Strathclyde for a good few of the time. You made up for time.
I was there a while, wasn't I? Yeah.
But I just wonder. I know it's not something you can maybe answer, but I just wonder how many young people, especially when we've got quite a high youth unemployment rate, it's there's opportunities there just if you look at it the right way.
Definitely. Yeah, I think there's so much pressure, and I'm sure the pressure on young people now is even more than it was when I was at school. So we didn't have social media or phones. I think like people were just starting to get like pagers. I can remember people getting pagers. That's like showing my age, but like people were getting pagers when I was at high school, and I think people started to get phones just as I was leaving. But it was like, yeah, so pressure now must be very different to what it was then. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I just had no concept of like what I was actually capable of doing, and I think that must be true for so many young people, and the pressure around exams and all that kind of stuff. It feels like everything at the time, and like if that doesn't work out, then what's the point? Like, go and work in Asda or McDonald's. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's like I wouldn't probably be fulfilled if I was doing that kind of work. Yeah. I think it is a problem, like inspiring young people, letting them know what they're capable of doing, whether that's engineering or something else, I don't know, but like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk me through your time at Strathclyde then. So after you achieved your ND, did you go back to Strathclyde and immerse yourself back in the physical boundaries of Strathclyde, or were you, cause you did some work with BAE Systems, were you on site there? How did that transfer from the ND into
so I guess my way
an associate?
Yeah, how I'd learned to do research was always like embedded in industry. I didn't really know how to go and do research in a like however other people do research, like sit in a university and do research and think about things abstractly or whatever. So Depew at the time, the company I was in Leeds, were like going through this process of redundancy. They did a big product recall, which was like a huge thing at the time, and they had to make lots of people redundant. So there was absolutely no possibility of getting a role there. And then this position for a postdoc with BAE Systems, looking at, again, product development processes essentially, but the engineering life cycle came up, which I had the right kind of skill set for. I was based in Strathclyde, but like would spend a lot of time interviewing people at BAE Systems, like mapping out their processes. Yeah, and I did that for about a year and a half, and I think I've not even thought about this really, but like I didn't particularly enjoy it. I enjoyed learning about BAE Systems. I loved learning about their processes, how they made design decisions. I didn't like. I'm processing stuff in my head as I'm talking, but like I didn't really realise that I didn't like being like. Not being able to steer my own ship, not having autonomy about the direction things were going. So I was told what to do, what I could look at, what I couldn't look at. I got on with it and I did it, but I didn't feel like I was thriving. Yeah, so I went to another professor at Strathclyde, and I was kind of like, okay. So I'd won funding for KTP projects with Alexander Dennis. I think at that point it was just Alexander Dennis. But I had an ability to like talk to people in industry, describe my research to them, build a relationship with them and get funding to do stuff. So I went to another professor and I said, look, would you if I could bring in more funding, would you free up some of my time to be able to like do more of this stuff, because I feel like this is what I want to steer my own ship basically. And he was like, yeah, okay, if you can do this research coordinator role, so you can like look after like big research bids for the faculty and like some coordination with like other PhD students and things, then you can have like a couple of days a week to like bring in some more funding. So I did, and I got projects with Johnson's Belgian, and was involved in a project with Spirit Aerosystems, and a logistics company as well. So I brought in enough funding to like pay for my time, and I got to work with companies doing research around real practical problems that were strategically really important to them, and I enjoyed that. So yeah, it kind of worked out really well. And then I got a lecturing post because I was bringing in this funding, so I was like ticking this big box for this to get like a permanent academic position, and I enjoyed that for a little while. But then I realised to progress, I was going to have to publish lots of papers, and that just did not inspire me. And I wasn't part of a bigger research group. I was kind of like a bit of a lone wolf. So normally if you're an academic, you'd have professors that would like support you with paper writing, make connections for you, bring you into bigger grants. I didn't have that. I was just kind of like bumbling along on my own, doing pretty well, sort of, but not really enough to ever become a senior lecturer without, I was already working like crazy. I would be like 8 till 8, like minimum every day. But yeah, I was going to have to like figure out a way to like publish more, which is just it was just hard.
It's not for you.
Not for me. So yeah, left.
So what was for you then? What was at that point? What was it you were looking to do?
I don't know. I was more with industry, like build a network, get involved in helping people solve problems that were kind of like could like unlock potential for their business to grow. And I was particularly interested in working with companies that were engineering companies or manufacturing companies, because that was my background. So I moved to Innovate. This job came up at Innovate, the Business Connect part, which back then was called KTN, and that's what I did for a while. And I really enjoyed that job to start with because there was lots of autonomy. So I could kind of, the CEO at the time, a guy called Chris Nita, no it wasn't Chris Nita, Chris something, I can't remember his second name, that's really bad, said, do whatever you want as long as you feel you are making good use of taxpayers' money. So that was kind of like, okay, brilliant, I'm going to do that, I'm going to help people, I'm going to, like, I guess the work ethics that look at that, and I felt like I was doing that, was making good use of taxpayers' money, connecting people, helping companies figure out R&D stuff in the kind of broad field of manufacturing. And then there was this problem in the business at the time, which was that people were coming with hardware products, and it was really difficult to help them. And then because we were measured on like how successful people's innovations are, people were reluctant to work with people with a hardware product. So innovation overall, you'll get like about a 70% failure rate. So about 70% of innovations won't like get to market and scale. But if it's hardware, it's 97% failure. So there's like much less chance of it being successful. It's just more complicated, more investments needed up front. So people were reluctant to help these people. So I was kind of given this hospital pass. Like, right, Abby, you go and focus on how to help these people that are really difficult. Like, how can we like triage supporting them? And like, so that's what I did. And rather than see it as a hospital pass, I saw it as like a bit of a challenge, and like really enjoyed doing it, like built lots of relationships around it, built a bit of a community. We ran a webinar series with product design, with Technology Scotland, Product Design Scotland, and I really enjoyed that period of work. It was kind of like through lockdown, so we ran a physical event just before lockdown, and then this webinar series, and I learned loads. It was like doing a PhD all over again, learning about like hardware development, the problems around it, how to help people with it. Yeah, it was brilliant. And then the organisation kind of changed, and my role changed around the same time. So we became part of a larger organisation, and as often happens, that kind of like autonomy disappears and everything becomes very proceduralised. And like, you've got to ask permission to go to an event, you've got to ask permission to do a talk. I got line management responsibility, so I moved from like the manufacturing team into the design team, was line managing people. You've got like other responsibilities and stuff to do that's like not actually doing the job you enjoy, and and I felt like there was politics to manage that I was not particularly good at managing. I couldn't be bothered managing it. Like, it just didn't. I was not excited by it. So I got pregnant, and if I'm honest, I kind of knew when I got pregnant that was it. I was out. I think like this, like being able to steer my own ship is kind of like
it's a consistent theme that's kind of coming up.
So I talked to people through like towards the end of my pregnancy and mat leave, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we'd give you work, we've got loads of work we can give you." So I spoke to enough people that had confidence that it was going to work out, and I went for it. I went for it slightly early because Elaine at the KTP Centre was like, "Oh, I need somebody to start 2 days a week. Could you come in and help us with this like business development role?" And I knew KTPs because I'd done them at Strathclyde. It was relatively like easy for me. It wasn't like I was moving into something I didn't understand. It was just 2 days a week. But Ada was only 4 months old, so it was sooner than I'd really planned to do it. But my paid maternity leave had finished. And you can work when you've got statutory maternity pay. You're allowed to work self-employed, which I didn't. But like checked it all out, could do it, and I just went for it. Like, and then because I was out talking to people, other work just materialised, and I've moved on from Strathclyde. I've had this other role where I guess a good thing about that previous role was that I built a massive network. Yeah.
It's fascinating because I kind of know what you do now, but I feel like, see, if I didn't, I feel like your career's been building towards what you're doing now.
Yeah.
We spoke briefly before of some of the projects you're working on at the moment, and they'll remain unnamed unless you want to mention them, but you almost are going in and solving problems and seeing how an organisation operate, with whether it's the whole organisation or certain elements of it, where it's a product. And again, I'm trying to see this through. I'm seeing this always through the lens of an engineering student. And what's really interesting is that probably the most common engineering student at university that comes for support from engineering career is someone that's doing product design engineering.
Oh, really? Okay.
Or sports engineering.
Okay.
Looking for roles. And what we talk about is not necessarily the niche area, but more around the skills and the mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you're talking about without directly saying. But so, like, how would you say you use your engineering mindset? 'Cause you definitely you've got one.
Yeah.
How do you tap into the engineering mindset, or what does the engineering mindset mean to you?
Yeah.
Within the roles that you've done, and also as a founder now of an organisation.
I guess it's been. I suppose there's a few things. One is not being daunted by complexity. So I don't see complexity and think, how oh no, like that's too much. Like, I see complexity and I think, right, okay, cool, let's look at this. So that I'm not daunted by complexity. I'm okay with ambiguity and uncertainty, which I think is a really useful thing for engineers to have. But I think there's discomfort with it. So as an engineer, you have got to be okay with ambiguity. Like, there's going to be questions you can't answer. There's going to be stuff you don't know, and it's going to be your job to navigate that and find the answers, or develop clarity, or try and find answers. Sometimes you might not be able to find the answers, but I think often there is like so much discomfort with it that there's like trying to force clarity when we're not ready for it. So I think I'm very good at that, and I know other engineers that are not good at it, and it's to their detriment. Like, it holds them back. That not being okay with not knowing. So good with uncertainty and ambiguity, good with complexity, able to think about. I'm not a details person. I'd love to be a details person. I think good engineers are details people. I love detail. Like, I love seeing it when other people do it. Yeah. I'm not good at it myself. Like, I make mistakes with setting up meetings. Like, I've got typos and things. Like, if I'm running a class, like, there can be like I make mistakes with like hand-in dates might not be consistent. So I might have one thing in the slides and another, like things like that. Like, I get it wrong. I'm not great at it. I'd love to be better at it. But I appreciate the detail. But I'm good at like seeing the bigger picture, seeing how everything connects, and that's how I think about the world. And I think that's what my doctorate, like from a how my brain works point of view, it felt like the right place to be, like thinking in systems. So thinking about how stuff connects, and not just like this mic is a system, or the camera is a system, or like your sound system is a system, but like thinking about like businesses as systems, about relationships, people as systems, like anything that connects, and everything does connect. Like everything is like sound like proper like philosophical, but like everything does connect. So you can think about anything as a system and apply these same sort of principles of things like behaviour emerging from systems. So like, and the more kind of like complexity there is in a system, the more difficult it is to understand what behaviour might emerge, and often that behaviour is unanticipated and blah blah blah. So like understanding how systems behave, thinking about things in systems, that's came from engineering and the master's bit of the NGD that I did at Loughborough. And I think systems thinking, which not every engineer has, but is important. And linked to that, there's the complexity and ambiguity stuff. I say that's what engineering gives me.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I'm trying my best not to jump on my phrase of the skills gap being a system gap, but I'll hold back just now and we can talk about that afterwards. So is there a project that stands out in your career, or a bit of work that you've done so far, whether it's been through Defangle or whether it's been through other elements of your career, that stands out that you're particularly not proud of, but one that stands out that kind of summarises how you work that you're proud of?
Oh man, there's loads of things I'm proud of actually, for different reasons. So I'm proud of my doctorate, I think, because it was useful, like it continues to be useful. I just did a call with Alexander Dennis the other day, who are still using the models that I developed, that it wasn't me that developed, the KTP associate Laura developed, based on my research through the KTP programme. So that's like a decade later, stuff still being used. It's making product development planning much easier. So I think I feel massive satisfaction in that. There's other stuff like the KTP with Johnsons of Elgin, like the associate there. And that project was brilliant, but the associate's still with the company. So that's like, 10 years on, he's now working at director level in the business. Just seen how well he's doing, and like the impact that project had on him and his career. I'm proud of that, although that's very much down to him. I've got like maybe a very small part to have played in that. I'm proud of having taken the leap and started my own business. I think that was scary. It felt like I had to do it. Like it felt like, as much as it was, I had no choice. Like I think it would have been worse to go back to work and work in a role that I wasn't finding fulfilling. So I'm proud of having started this, and I'm proud of like the relationships I've built, the connections I've got with people, that I can help people. And like I think across everything I do, like being able to do stuff that's genuinely useful. Sometimes I get paid for it, sometimes I don't get paid for it, but I think overall I know like it's a positive thing. Sometimes I get it wrong, sometimes I do things that are really awkward or like weird or upset people, like I do all that stuff, but like I think overall like my intentions are to like help people do cool stuff and like unlock value in their organisations, and I think overall I do that.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have only known each other for a few months, but the day we met you introduced me to someone that's then unlocked an awareness for me when you introduced me to Sam, and that's a hidden talent. There's two things you said there that I think are so important that I've realised over the last my career, but in particular focus the last 2 years is building your network. Because building a network and but then at the same time connecting people for their benefit. Because then it helps them realise the benefit of it. A lot of connections that are created generally work in a positive direction for each other. And sometimes it doesn't turn into pounds and pennies like you said. Sometimes it's a connection which then builds another one.
I think that's a systems thing. Like systems is all about how things connect. So that's how I see the world and people, and like and to be fair, it was part of my job as well. So it was my job to connect people. Like that was what I was measured on, like connecting people and what comes out of that. And I think for exciting stuff to happen, like it's conversations. It's like people bringing together different ideas. There's something hugely powerful in that. And I think like I guess for engineers, especially early career engineers, like there's the temptation to like just stay in your lane, become very good at something quite narrow. But actually, like going and talking to people in other departments, the people that do the supply chain stuff, the people that do sales, and it just gives you a much richer understanding. I'm not saying spend all your time like farting about having all these random conversations, but like take some time to do that, because it's like the better you'll become at doing your job or understanding the value you add by understanding where you fit in, where all the other bits are, and then being able to connect people adds value as well. Yeah.
So across your career, has there been anyone that's been a couple of people who have been role models, mentors, support mechanisms for you?
Yeah, there have been. I think probably early on, not particularly through university, and maybe when I was in Leeds, like there were people that kind of were supervisory, but there was nobody that was really there to give me good advice. There was a guy that gave me really direct feedback, which was what I needed. But there was nobody that kind of like, I felt like was totally on Team Abby, that really got alongside me. Whereas I feel like over the last few years since starting this business, there have been people that have been, maybe it's because I've looked for it more, or maybe because I'm doing something where it's obvious that I'm going to need it, or I don't know, for whatever reason, people have been phenomenal. So people like, there's like such a big long list of names. I'm scared I'm going to miss people.
You don't have to. You can name them all, but you don't have to name. I mean, it's up to yourself.
Yeah, so there's people like Paul Winstanley, who said he was going to give me work. Like, in the end, circumstances changed. It wasn't completely possible, but it gave me hot desks in space. It's been massively encouraging. He's made connections, built relationships. Like just thinking very recently, Paul Sheeran, so like did a little bit of work for Scottish Engineering. He's connected me to somebody else that's given me more work. And I know he's very positive about what I did, but he's like, I guess, well connected and like super helpful. There's other people that I've Sarah Jardine, she's been incredibly encouraging. I'm totally going to miss out people from the Royal Bank Accelerator. They've been phenomenal. Elaine at the KTP Centre giving me that first piece of work. She's been great. People in my team, like people that are my associates, that I don't see as like people that work for me. They're like people who do phenomenal stuff, run really great businesses, have got brilliant insights into things, and I've learned so much from them. And then I do this thing, Defanco Dinners, where I bring people that I think are really cool together, and I benefit from hearing from them and getting to chat with them over dinner. So that's really cool. Yeah, there's like thousands of people have just been like so helpful and encouraging, and I'm massively grateful for that. It's been cool.
Thanks a lot for sharing that. See if you were to give a message to a student about the benefits of building a network, what would you encourage them to do? I mean, I know my advice. I speak to students all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to hear another voice.
Yeah, I think people think networking is like going and standing around and like, this cringy, like holding on to your glass of wine with your hand becomes increasingly sweaty and like try to eat a sausage roll, and like, I hate that kind of networking. It makes me deeply uncomfortable. I feel massively awkward. I find, I've just like recently had like really weird experiences where people say like proper, like, put you in this little box kind of things, and it just makes you feel like I just want to leave. I just want to get out of here. It's not nice. I think that's normal to feel like that in those circumstances. I think going to them anyway, but like going in prepared. So like I've got like, I've learned very recently like some extra tricks. Like, so if people ask me like how's it going, sometimes I'm like, I don't know, how is it going? Like, it's going all right. Like, and then you end up getting mansplained to, or like somebody will make you feel very small about how you're running your business or something. So now in those situations, I just like prepare. This is how I'm going to talk about what I'm doing. I'm going to say this really positive stuff because I've got super cool stuff going on. But sometimes like if I'm in a like mindset where I'm like worries about a problem, or like I don't come out with all the positive stuff, and then you get backed into this corner of like negativity by somebody who feels very insecure themselves. Like, so I just like go in with like positive stuff to say, which sounds so obvious, but like
What are the future plans? Do you have any? I always ask professional goals. What's the kind of goals for the future?
Yeah, I think I've said already, like I never really had goals. I think I probably have more goals now than I did have previously, although they are still quite abstract. Are they abstract? I don't know. So one would be to be running a business that has some sort of steady, dependable income, so I'm not scrambling for work all the time. Not that I'm scrambling for work, but like everything's project by project. So to have something that was just like, I know that this stuff's going to take care of itself, and then I can go and do other bits of interesting work. So yeah, to be able to focus on stuff I'm really enjoying and not worrying at the same time about business development and delivery. So to be less worried about business development stuff, more focused on doing delivery, or maybe it's the other way around. I'm not sure which. But I think another thing is to be doing more work where I can add lots of value and really enjoy. So I've just when I started out, I thought it was like freelance. I'm going to do some projects for Paul, for example. He'll give me a few projects, and maybe somebody else will give me something, and I'll just cobble stuff together. Then I got advice about building a brand and like something that I can grow. So and I like that idea. So I did a bit of that, and I was on maternity leave, so like I had time to like think about the brand and like what I wanted the business to be, kind of in a very loose way. But I didn't. My offer was very like, I'll help people do innovation, people with technology and engineering companies to do innovation. I wasn't sure. I knew I wasn't going to write grants for people. That's where I draw the line. I'm not writing your grants, but other stuff I can help you with. And then over time, that's evolved. And I think when I spoke to you last time, I was like, okay, now I've got an offer. I can help people with strategy, systems, culture, and like their narrative about how they're doing innovation. But even since we spoke at first, that's evolved again. So I feel like that's my very broad offer. But then I've realised that what I'm good at is the strategy bit. I can add lots of value around helping people think strategically. And within that there is little bits of the systems and processes and the culture, how they're thinking about leadership. But I feel like when I'm talking to people about their strategy, like I love the challenge of it. You get right under the skin of their business. It's such a privileged position to be in, to have those kind of conversations with people. And I can sense the value that I'm adding in like a really tangible way, um, that has massive impact as well. So it's like you can like tweak people's processes or help them with a little bit here or there. But if you can help them with their strategy, and if when everybody's aligned and on the same page, it's really powerful. So I love that. I get a buzz from doing it. I love the challenge. I can add value. I'd like to be doing more of that. And I feel like my business has evolved. I've only been going for, this is my third year. It's about 2.5 years in. And I feel like now I've figured out what my value proposition is. Maybe, it might ask me next week, it might be different. But I feel like I know where I can add most value.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do more of that work. And like, I think that this particular kind of work is kind of word of mouthy type work as well.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I'm going to be able to go and sell strategies to somebody. I think it needs to come from somebody else. So I feel like I'm confident that's going to happen because I know I'm doing it well. So
Awesome.
we'll see. We'll see.
Well, yeah, stand behind it.
Yeah.
Okay. This has been I've really enjoyed this, Abby. I'm really grateful to you opening up about your career and how you came to this point, and you can see the links throughout your journey to where you are today. Someone that I'm really kind of honoured to have met and connect with, and I know we'll stay in touch going forward. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Abby.
Thanks for having me. It has felt like therapy. Like I've had some new realizations. Been able to talk about stuff is good. Like it helps you reflect. So thanks for having me and listening to me really well. Asking me good questions. It's been cool. Thanks.
Awesome. So let's end like we always do. What keeps you passionate about engineering?
It's got to be people. Like people. Like whether it's people that I think are amazing. There's so many incredibly clever, cool people in engineering, but there's also people I find challenging and difficult and annoying. But I love working with them as well because you like figure that's where you learn and like figure out how to like Yeah, I think like the part of what's important in life, or like part of the reason for life, or like well, yeah, is like learning how to get on with different types of people. It feels like if you can figure out how to get on with absolutely anybody, that would be such a cool place to be. Like if you can relate to anybody, no matter what their circumstance, that'd be. So I feel like I'm on that, and every time I meet somebody that I find difficult, I'm like, right, I'm gonna figure this one out, and then there'll be somebody else. But like you gradually get better and better and better, and you can work with more types of people. So I think it's people, difficult people and cool people. All of them. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Abby. Thanks for joining the podcast.
Thank you so much.